welcome everyone to our second session of our Eat Well Cooking Club. And I like to, for better health, and I like the preference is that it's what we do is more than just providing a cooking demonstration, sharing recipes. It's a lifestyle and it's about living healthy and sharing information with you on health promotion. So continuing our conversation about healthy aging and well-being, a useful guide, we're going to have this is one of our monthly wellness information session and engagement session. We may have a few people on that are new, so I'm just going to go briefly who Advocates is. We are faith-based, denominational, holistic, health promotion, and nutrition education ministry without walls. We are an organization, but I like to think of us as a ministry of going out, outreaching, and sharing with others of our passion of what we love about healthy lifestyle. So we bring wellness program to you where you live, where you work, learn, shop, play, and worship. We go out into the community to outreach. Educating is our top priority in promoting health, nutrition, healthy cooking classes, wellness program like we're doing today, and teaching the relationship between diet, health, and chronic diseases. I'm Dale Kane. I'm going to be your moderator today. A little bit about me. I'm the founder and director of Advocates for Community Wellness. I am a professional nutrition specialist. I had a certification in plant-based nutrition movement as a cooking coach. I've also received a certificate in plant-based nutrition from T. Colin Campbell Center for Nutrition Services at Cornell University. I have over 18 years. I just stopped counting because then that ages me. Over 18 years of work experience in the health promotion and disease prevention sector, coordinating wellness programs, wellness and culinary programs throughout the city. And I'm also the former Illinois State Cooking Matter Coordinator, which is a national nutrition education and cooking program for children and families. And today I have Karen Carruthers, who is the co-moderator. Karen, want to share a little bit about your background?
Yes, good morning, everyone. I am Karen Carruthers, the nutritionist, and it's just fabulous to be here once again. I'm a bilingual nutritionist, so I service a lot of Hispanic and African-American communities. I have a bachelor's degree in nutrition from Valparaiso University and a master's degree in education from Lewis University. I used to teach nutrition to the nursing students at Chicago State University. And I also am certified through the city of Chicago and the state of Illinois to teach food safety sanitation classes and through the Red Cross to teach CPR and first aid classes. So it's always a pleasure to be here once again with Dale and with everyone else. And thank you for returning, for those who returned, and for those who are new, welcome, welcome, welcome.
Yes. Thank you, Karen.
Yes.
And we are faith-based, so I always like to bring a biblical reference in. And so today comes from 3 John 1:2. This is the King James Version. Beloved, I wish above, it should be all things, that thou mayest prosper and be in health, even as thy soul prospered. And a couple of years ago, I read that passage over and over again. Actually, it's the scriptural foundation for our ministry that we do here at Advocates for Community Wellness. But when I broke that down, it says that I wish that you may prosper. And prosper is more than in the financial realm. It's prospering in your having fruitful relationships, in your marriage, with friends, with family, in your career, just in life itself, and to be in health. Some passage says in good health, which is talking about the physical body as our soul prospers. And so that links us to what's going on in our minds, our soul. Our mind resides in our soul. It's thought of as residing in our soul. It's called the mind of man. And then there's the mind of God, which is in the spiritual realm. So being prosperous is a spiritual realm, because it's like how you're feeling and our health is in our physical realm, but then how we're prospering in our soul is our mental realm. And I just wanted to share that with you. Okay, so today's September Wellness Information Session and Engagement. And you see that I highlighted the WISE is sponsored by a grant from the Greater Auburn Gresham Development Council. And I'm just going to do a shout out. We're looking for an official name for our monthly information session. And so if you have some suggestions for us, please, you can send them to me, at info@A4CW, because we want to actually get a tag for what we do on our monthly session. And we will be continuing this in 2022. And today I'm so pleased to welcome Gwen Knowlton. She's a trauma and healing coach. Gwendolyn, do you want to share a little bit about your background?
Hi, sure, of course. My name is Gwen Knowlton, as you know. I am a trauma and healing coach. I'm a master coach. I'm the owner and founder of Healing Speaks LLC. I have a bachelor's degree in social work from Valparaiso University, and I attended Blue Heron, got 6 credits away from becoming a naturopathic doctor, and found what I do now and never looked back. For many years, I was a medical research analyst for some of the top biochemical docs and studied under world-renowned doctors that specialized in methylation and neuroscience. I have a passion for social work, and I started my career doing that. Went into medicine because I had a chronically ill daughter and thought I was going to become a naturopathic medical doctor. But then when I learned the mind-body connection, that's why I have breath. Is to teach people how to heal, to understand how their body and their brain works and is wired together, to understand how emotions impact your everyday life, and to teach people how they're engineered, because you can't reconfigure something when you don't know how it's put together. So my job is to bridge that gap, and I'm just so honored and happy to be here. Thank you all so much.
Okay, thank you, Gwen. I'm going to stop sharing, and you're going to pull up your presentation.
Today, we're going to be talking about thinking well, eating well, and aging well, and how mental health is our fountain of youth. You are what you think. There are so many things that we know, but we've never really taken the time to put 2 and 2 together. And every thought you think actually has energy to it. I'm going to go back and forth between a couple slides. Energy is just the ability to do work or cause change. And when an organism does some of its work, its energy is transferred to that object. So anything that exists has energy. It's just the ability to be put into motion, whether you can see it or whether you cannot see it. And that's really important to know, because that's the foundation of how we're put together anatomically, atomically, and systemically. Every thought you think actually has energy to it. It fuels your behavior and your unconscious mind. And every emotion that you feel sends a signal to your body to release neuropeptides that create a physiological response. It then moves on to your reticular activating system, which tells your body perspective. It records things, and it actually shapes the perspective of how you view things. There's a famous brain hacker and neuro coach named Joe Vitale, and he says, we don't see what is real, we see what we believe, because your brain and how you've processed this energy that you have been exposed to influences your perception, and everything you believe is filtered through your experience and perceptions, and where energy goes, energy flows. Think of it as music without sound. So 2 people can be in the same experience. How many times have we had that happen where 2 people can experience the same thing and remember it completely differently, but they were there at exactly the same time? So what happens is when you experience something and it triggers an emotion, those emotions trigger peptides, a physiological response in your body, which are basically the frequency traffic cops and are based on an instinctive state of mind. And then it deposits them into the organ with that corresponding frequency. So that sounds like a lot of sciencey mumbo jumbo, right? But basically, in short form, what happens is Just like you take aspirin to a headache, right? You don't take Pepto-Bismol for a headache. Why not? Well, because you don't. That's the answer everybody always gives, right? What it is there is a chemical response. And when you go farther back than the chemistry, behind the chemistry is an energy. And energetically, aspirin doesn't work on your belly for stomach issues like Pepto-Bismol. Well, what happens is emotions work the same way. All of your body systems, each organ is a depository canal for emotions that you either want to remember or that you don't know how to process. We'll get into that a little bit later. So what's interesting is I have this on here about the frequency of sound. And the reason that I do is because guess what happens when you put emotions to sound? It's the sound of your voice. And people don't ever stop to really realize it. So I'm going to speak from a biblical perspective because I know this is a faith-based organization for all faiths. What happens is when we put that sound, when we put those emotions to the sound of our voice, it actually has power. It has frequency. Words have power. That's why you have to be very careful about what you think, because it's words without sound, and what you speak, because it literally, the Bible talks about how words are life and death, right? Here's what's interesting. A lot of people don't know that, like I said, everything has energy. Every emotion you feel, we can actually register on something like an emotional sphygmometer, okay? And what we found is that so what you see now is called the alpha point, the omega chart. And what this is this is actually the real number of the energetic vibration behind emotions. Love is 500 and above. It's always going to be 500 and above. And you're always going to register this in your body when you're feeling these particular emotions. All of these emotions have a corresponding organ, muscle, tissue, or cell in your body. And when you cannot process it, it actually gets stored almost like bad food. You know, when you get food poisoning or you eat bad food and you can't process something, you understand what that does to your body, right? So emotions do the same things. We now know that fear is stored in the kidneys, that anger is stored in the liver. We now know that sabotage is in the gallbladder, or bullying. Those type of suppression emotions are all stored in the gallbladder. That's why it's so important as you go throughout your life to really deal with those emotions and your mental health in a way that's underlying, because we'll talk about this in just a second. What you think is who you are, and it impacts how your cells regenerate. So there's 3 portions to your makeup: your body, mind, and your spirit. And they all come from these 3 places. So your gut, your head, and your heart make up the 3 portions, but it's also body, mind, and spirit. Okay. And how we've been taught our body works is not actually really how it works. Your gut is directly engaged with the world. Your gut houses the energy of instinct and intuition, unself-consciousness, immediate, practical, and direct. Your gut is, as we call in the Christian faith, your spirit man, right? What the gut is, it's your metal detector for energy. Now, when I do not know, and you guys can unmute and chime in on this one, how many of you guys have ever had a gut instinct and it's never, ever wrong, right? We've all had that, correct?
Yes, this is Karen.
Yes.
I can definitely say yes. And when I ignored it, I was kicking myself because it was right and I overrode it, and it went backfired.
I'm going to add, and paid dearly too.
Right? That's what I call stupid tax for me. I'm not calling anybody stupid in any way, but I'm like, I ignored that gut and I paid stupid tax because I knew better than to ignore my gut. So people kind of look at how to deal with those gut instincts incorrectly. People look at the gut as it will tell you something, and then you feel like you're supposed to act on what it's telling you. But your gut is not trying to tell you specifically anything except for where to set your boundaries. Your gut is your metal detector for energy. Okay, this person is safe, this person is not safe, something is wrong here. But the thing is, your gut can't communicate to you what it doesn't recognize. And what I mean by that is, I'm going to use an example. When somebody is hurt as a child, say they are abused as a child, physically abused as a child, right? They don't have the knowledge and the articulation and the life experience to know that parents can be mentally ill. So they determine that something is wrong with them because they've not experienced enough life to have that understanding. When your gut is experiencing new energy or energy in a frequency that it doesn't exactly identify, it will alert you there's a problem, but it can't communicate with you what the problem is. You had your gut instinct before your vocabulary and your articulation and your verbal abilities were ever formulated. So that's why we don't always know what the gut is saying, but we know danger or I'm okay. So there might be a gut instinct that I need to go head into this business opportunity, or that person doesn't quite strike me right and I don't know why. When we start shifting how we look at our gut, it will change your life. So I want to say this because I want to actually drill a subconscious response in your head. Your gut is always right. Your gut is always right. Your gut is always right. When you don't know what it's saying, it's always right. When you don't know how to read it, it's always right. When you don't know what it's trying to tell you, it's always right. When you don't like what it's saying, it is always right. Your gut is always, 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 always right. Because what it's doing is it's scanning the energy that does not match with your body frequency, your emotional or spiritual frequency, and it's warning you. Or it's telling you, this is my perfect opportunity to level up. So when you look at the gut as not trying to tell you information, but trying to read energy for you, you will respond to it completely differently. You will know, I need to step back just a little bit. Let me put some space here and see what happens. When you start, where energy goes, energy flows. So when you start paying attention to what that gut is doing, the actual articulation of what that means will come forward, but you have to trust the process. And the more you listen to it, the more your brain and your reticular activating system will say, hey, that's important to me, and pay attention to it. That's why when you buy a new car and you hadn't seen anybody with your car, and then you get that car and there are 500 of them on the street that you never noticed before, that was your reticular activating system because of the energy in your body and the excitement of it saying, this is really important to me. Same thing happens with the gut, is that it will alert you and you will start to get the information you need. People look at the gut like they look at going to the gym. I'll go to the gym when I feel better. No, you'll feel better when you go to the gym. When they look at the gut, I'll obey my gut when I have more information. No, when you obey your gut, you'll get more information. So does anybody have any questions on that so far? Okay, let's go on to the head. The head is your inner life of logic, detail, reasoning, future plans. People look at the head as the creator of all things in your body as far as running the programs. That's not it. Your head is basically your hardware system to your body. Your gut and your heart are your software systems, okay? Those are the ones that decide what programs get ran. It's your head that runs them. That's why we can have faulty programming and self-sabotaging thoughts, because it's bad programming that you've put in. So I like to liken it to an app where it's, and also when you talk in the mirror, I don't know if anybody has ever done mirror work, you'll notice that sometimes you might hear your inner voice when you're in the mirror. That's because your brain actually does not know that it's you talking to it in the mirror. Your prefrontal cortex, the part that actually has identity and knows identity, of course, can look in the mirror when you're putting on your makeup and know and identify you as you. But the parts of your body and your brain that determine self-awareness, self-worth, self-esteem, all of those portions, the parts that hold trauma and wellness, they have no way of identifying it, that it's you. So you can do a lot of really positive work and affirmations in the mirror. And then, of course, there's your heart. Your heart determines your inner life of emotions, your memories, your images, your visions, your dream. Your deepest desires are stored in your heart. Your safest, most precious memories are literally stored in your heart. And they've recently launched a study, a scientific study. You can actually look this up. This is kind of a fun rabbit hole to go down if you're nerdy like I am. And that is that there was a bunch of heart transplant recipients. And what they found was when the heart was transplanted, they actually took on a lot of the desires of their donor. So much so that an entire study was launched off of 2 cases in particular. The most dramatic being, and I'm going to give you the paraphrase synopsis, is that there was a 19-year-old girl who received the heart of a 27-year-old woman. The 19-year-old girl was described as a gay junk food junkie couch potato, in short. She received the heart of a woman who described herself as a bit promiscuous. She was heterosexual and a vegan. When the transplant happened, the 19-year-old girl felt that she was no longer attracted to women like that. They had to put her on antidepressants because she was getting so depressed because she couldn't work out and she could no longer stomach meat. And that launched a whole nother study in and of itself. Additionally, a 9-year-old got a 10-year-old's heart and was having nightmares about the murder that happened. She worked with a forensic artist. They were able to not only catch the killer, but they knew from the description of the dreams that she was having and from the memories of the other child, they were able to go and get the evidence they needed to put this gentleman away. All right, so the conscious mind is only 10% of what's actually going on. So the conscious mind only determines 10% of what we actually do. The analysis, the thinks, the plans, and the short-term memory. But the subconscious mind is actually running 90% of the program. Here's what's interesting. Prior to the age of 20, most people are running in their subconscious mind. They're still developing, they're still learning their emotional continuity. Their prefrontal cortex is not fully developed. That's why it's so important how we handle children, from tone of voice to articulation, because we are actually developing their subconscious mind. Essential oils and emotions. One of the most powerful way, and please do not mistake this for a sales tactic at all, I have found is that as a healer, that through essential oils, but I use therapeutic grade. Please do not go to Walmart and buy something and think that it's going to help. It's not. It has to be at a certain frequency. And when an essential oil is inhaled, it travels through the nose. And the quickest way to shift emotions is through the olfactory system. Well, as we know, food is medicine. That was the whole premise of literally allopathic medicine when it began through its father, Hippocrates, was that food is medicine. And most essential oils is food. It's food, trees, barks, and seeds, right? Well, what we have found is a lot of these food, trees, barks, and seeds have frequencies that match in alignment with emotions and the muscles, tissue, cells, and organs in your body to create shifts that your willpower can't. A lot of them work like aspirin on a headache. In my healing practice, and if somebody wants to know more, they can private message me. I'm not doing all that right now, but we found things like geranium, and there's real studies on this in somatic science. Geranium helps heal heartbreak. Fennel is incredible, not only for digestion, but it actually works on the emotion of not feeling nourished. We deal with peppermint. It not only helps keep you cool, helps with digestion and emotions, but we use peppermint a lot to increase vibrations and help feel more stable and breathe better. What's the first thing that happens when you get stressed? We cut off that breath. So I want to talk about that because that is a really important tool when you're healing in mental health. What happens in your belly stays in your head. All of your neurotransmitters are developed in your belly. So when your gut flora is off, you will find that your mental health is off. Now, why is this important, Gwen? Why are we talking about the stomach and everything and not just food? Because the way that your neurotransmitters are taught to process is very rapidly. Here's the thing, your belly and your skin are directly connected. Your skin issues are always 100% of the time starting from your belly, as are your neurotransmitters. So what we have found is that the numbers are that your skin cells rejuvenate every 2 to 3 weeks, because guess what? That's primarily influenced by what you eat. The body itself, cell regeneration, depending on the person, happens in 7 to 10 years. Here's some just interesting things that I find. Most faiths, no matter whether you're Christian or Buddhist or whatever, believe in the power of fasting to have a deeper awareness and a metaphysical connection, right? Well, the reason that fasting is important in any faith that you belong to is because when you're fasting, you're removing all energies out of the way except for the energy of your higher power. So that's why a lot of people know that it works, but they don't understand why it works. This is so profound that they've launched several studies on it. And now we're finding too that just doing certain diets is dramatically impacting people's who have been depression resistant, or have resistant depression, where the medications and things like that aren't working. They're really doing some hard-hitting things as far as mental health care and standardizing it, because it starts in the belly. I want to talk to you about meridians and chakras. So I was always raised that, oh, that's mumbo jumbo and tree hugger stuff and all of that. But your meridians and your chakras are your emotional digestive system. The meridians are the pathways in which those neuropeptides that when you feel something come up, the meridians are the pathways in which they travel. The chakras are just like saying the body systems in your bodies. You have the skeletal system, the muscular system, the nervous system, the digestive system, the respiratory system, and the circular system. Just like we have the chakras, the crown chakra, the solar plex chakra, the root chakra, all of these different chakras function just like these systems in your body, each one possessing a different emotional context that these emotions travel down. Here are the 7 major chakras. We have the crown chakra, which is directly connected to the root chakra or your gut. The crown chakra is the system that processes stability. How safe am I? How aware am I? Do I feel grounded? Do I feel like myself? The third eye chakra is also directly connected to your gut. The third eye chakra is the chakra that allows you to see through your intuition. Okay, that's the energy thermometer that helps you read what your gut is trying to say. Your throat chakra is the power in your energy. Remember, we talked about that power with sound is your voice. All of that, what you can and cannot say, your ability to speak your truth. That is the system. The system that runs that is kind of like the emotional thyroid, the heart chakra. That the heart chakra is what houses what you can and cannot process based on the desires of your heart, your wants, your dreams, what feeds your soul. Your solar plex chakra is responsible for all things self-esteem, self-awareness, how you feel about yourself, how you view yourself through your eyes, and how you see the world is viewing you. Your sacral chakra, that's your sexuality, your personality, your ability to connect and be vibrant with other people, your ability to be vulnerable, all stems around that sacral chakra. And your root chakra, well, that's your base. Your root chakra is at the base of your spine, right above your fanny crack, and it's responsible for your sense of security and stability. There's something that we have that's called secondary emotions. Now, why is all this important to aging? Because all of this directly affects your gut and how it's able to digest your emotions. Your digestion affects your skin cells within 2 to 3 weeks. You want to look young, you want to feel young, then you think young, okay? We have something that's called secondary emotions. Secondary emotions are those emotions that you feel only because you felt something else. Like you're never just going to feel angry. You're always going to feel angry because there's some sort of injustice or change that needs to be made, or somebody wronged you or disrespected you. There's always going to be something that happens before you feel anger. Whereas joy and happiness are primary emotions. Somebody's going to initiate a physical action, but that's the first thing that you feel. This is just, I don't know if you guys can take screenshots or not, but you might want to take a screenshot when this comes up, because I just think that this is just really interesting once you understand that there's an emotion before you feel these emotions. Depression is hidden anger. Anxiety, you need to wake up to your needs. But something interesting about anxiety and depression, anxiety is always future-based. It's worry based on the future and how you're going to identify and respect your needs. Depression is usually rooted in regret or anger of something that has happened in the past, and then it's rooted in worry, and then you have anger. There's jealousy, meaning you're not taking action. Resentment, bitterness, anger, you can look at all of these things. These things are the things that the secondary emotions are the primary energies responsible for emotional upset that cause disease in your body. So I want to talk a little bit about forgiveness. One of the things, as both a healer and a naturopathic practitioner, that I have found has been consistent with my people who struggle with chronic disease in their body: bitterness, resentment, and unforgiveness. Those are your magic three right there that can kill you. Those are the three that will literally cause your adrenal systems, your fight, fawn, or freeze systems to clog up and work against you. So when you're focusing on your emotional continuity, you really want to look at those things that are left unregistered and untapped. Because what I found as a healer, that the only way to get through it is to get through it, to walk through it. And unforgiveness cables you to that circumstance, person, or understanding. Forgiveness comes when you have a sense of justice. Well, the sense of justice isn't always, Johnny stole my bike, now his bike got stolen. It doesn't always look like that. Sometimes it comes in the understanding that that person wasn't mentally capable to make a different choice than that. And while what they did was not okay, my understanding now, I have peace with the understanding that it was what it was. So as you guys go toward staying mentally, physically, spiritually vibrant, really want you to look at those things. What's cabling you back? What are the first thoughts that come to mind when something goes wrong? Do you feel like you look older than you did even 3 weeks ago? Is there something underlining? Are you having stomach issues? Stomach issues are one of the number one ways to know that you have some unprocessed emotions, because it will always hit you. It'll hit two places, your gut and your shoulders. And it's interesting because you know how I am somebody, I carry a lot of weight in my shoulders, but this is your gallbladder channel. You know how we talked about meridians up underneath your ear? I want everybody to just kind of go up underneath your ear, and I want you to trace down your shoulder. So that right there, that is your gallbladder meridian, okay? And gallbladder is where you feel suppressed, where you feel you can't speak your truth, or somebody's shutting you up, or you're being quiet to keep the peace, right? How many of us have done that, right? Guilty, preaching to the choir, right? Yeah, don't do that. Watch your face. In a week, you'll look completely different. So I hope that gives you some insight as to the importance of kind of delving in your mental health. You can check me out on my website page at www.coachingwithgwen.com. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I'm everywhere. You can private message me if you want to go deeper into this process. And I wish you all just love, light, and joy, because joy is a choice. Do you guys have any questions for me?
That was great and very helpful for me. So thank you.
Thank you. That was a lot of information really fast.
That was a lot, but it was really good. You hit it. You hit it just right. It was really good.
Very good. Thank you so much, Karen.
This is
Anybody
Dale.
Gwen, I do have a question. You mentioned that there were 3 types of emotions that can kill you. It was bitterness, unforgiveness, and what was the other one?
Resentment.
And so, how do you let go of those emotions? How do you overcome those?
One of the most brilliant ways that we use in neuroscience is mirror work. Remember how I talked about the mirror doesn't know it's you? So here's a little tidbit about the brain. The brain records that memory as though you were still there. So how many of us have had like a wonderful kid memory or a traumatic kid response, and we still feel it exactly as though we were that age, right? In the mirror, you can go back to that place and you can give you what you need. I know that sounds nuts, but you just have to trust me on this. Because what happens is only you experienced that situation in the energy and the vibration and the vibe in which you have full understanding, right? Nobody's going to understand how I experience something like me, right? Me, myself, and I is going to all experience it the same way. Well, you can get in the mirror. One of the things that I do is you go back to that place in your mind that resentment came up, and you look at you, because that's the only car you can drive, and say, what did I need in that moment? How much better if someone would have been there to say, I'm so sorry you're going through this. I don't know what you needed in this moment, but I know that you didn't deserve that. We can literally do that for ourselves in the mirror. I always start with mirror work. It's more than just affirmations. You can, in your mind's eye, revisit that place and talk to you as if you were there and give you what you need. Girl, I'm so sorry that happened to you. You didn't deserve that, and I love you. And we're going to be okay. You're not the same person you were then. It's also about setting boundaries. A lot of times we experience resentment when we don't honor our boundaries. We have to be responsible for our own stuff. And even when people do us wrong, we still have to be responsible for the boundaries that we didn't set or the justice that we didn't honor in our own selves. Does that help answer your question a little bit?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, Gwen, this is Dale. That was so powerful when you were talking, well, a lot of things that you had said, but when you were talking about the mirror, and I've done some of that sometimes, and I get teary eyes. In fact, when you were just talking about it, I guess I had some memories, some subconscious memories of things in the past that I may have brought up to the mirror. And that it hurts to know that people weren't there for you, and that but for me didn't have the relationship with other family members that I wanted, that I could share some things with, or things that I was feeling and going through, because I didn't have the words to express it. So. And I'm just asking if anyone else online ever did mirror work, or if this is the first time that you heard about mirror work. And the one thing I want to say is that sometimes I can't look at myself too long in the mirror. I mean, because you're looking directly into your eyes, and we know that the eyes are the windows to the soul. And I'm trying to think, like, what's up with that?
They are. I'm going to interject for a second, real quick there, Dale, because I think that you brought up an important part that could really bless some people here. And I don't know who needs to hear this, but you are a reflection of God's image and likeness. And when that's off balance, that's why we feel kind of out of whack. But you can go back to you in the mirror. You know how you said you didn't know how to express what you needed, and you didn't have the support that you needed? In the mirror, you can actually get that. You can literally visualize that situation back in that time, look yourself in the mirror and go, I am so sorry that you didn't know how to tell them what you needed. I am so sorry. The four components that we use are based on a Hawaiian prayer that I love, and it's called Ho'oponopono, and it has to do with the mirror work that says, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, and thank you. Those are the four components that round out forgiveness, support, and stability. So when you go back into those places, what it would look like for you, Dale, and I'm just picking on you if you don't mind, because I thought that was a perfect example, is to say, I'm so sorry that you didn't have the words to tell people what you needed. And I'm so sorry that they didn't know how to help you. Please forgive me. I'm learning now. I love you. You made it through. And thank you. Thank you, because you made me who I am today.
Amen to that.
Right? So when you're in there, it's you also, I want you to know that sometimes in the mirror, you'll hear kickback because your brain doesn't know it's you. So think of it like there's some weird person on the street and you think to yourself like, wow, you should have done another look in the mirror, right? And I know that sounds really petty, but y'all can't say you haven't done it. Right? And so just like you think those things, those kind of thoughts will come up when you're in the mirror. You'll actually hear kickback in your brain because the part that's storing all that information doesn't know it's you in the mirror. So it's going to comment on you. Mm-hmm. And if you're finding that those comments and the way that your mirror talk is going is not reflective of who your creator says you are, it's time to do some work.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's one thing that I do is I rely on the promises in the Bible. Some people on the line knows that I'm a cancer survivor, and just a lot of things that were going through my mind. My grandmother had she lost her battle with cancer, so I had that memory in my mind that was going to be my destiny when I got my diagnosis. But I really latched on. I went outside of myself. I think we spoke a little bit about going outside of yourself to a higher power, and said what God said about, his promises for me and the healing scriptures. I really held on to that, and I came through. I'm 5 years out now, and so and
congratulations.
Going for another 40 years now.
Amen. Amen. There's a scripture that I want to share with you guys that I love by and I live by, and it is Philippians 4. And it says, because it's literally God commanding us to stay close to him in high vibration, don't worry about anything, and keep your thoughts right. And it's Philippians 4:4. And I'll read from there. Rejoice in the Lord always. I will say it again, rejoice. Let your gentleness be evident to all. The Lord is near. Don't be anxious about anything. Anything. And anything means anything. He didn't mean some things except for this. He said anything. Okay? But in every situation, by prayer and petition, we have not because we ask not, and prayer raises your vibration 15 megahertz every 5 minutes. Okay. Prayer and petition and thanksgiving, present your requests to God. And there's a little tidbit I want to throw in there. Okay. So if prayer and petition raise your vibration 5 megahertz, guess what? One of the things that's very attracted to high vibrating people, high energetic people are money. That's why they call it currency. Your brain isn't right, it's going to mess with your money. That's so let me just speak in ways that makes it important to everybody, right? And it says, and the peace of God, now this is a promise. If you do that, if you don't worry, you stay close to him, you pray and ask God for what you need, then you are entitled to this promise. And the peace of God, which is beyond your understanding, which transcends all understanding, yours, mine, everybody's, will guard your hearts and mind in Christ Jesus. Finally, brothers and sisters, this is how you're supposed to do with your mind. Whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, you think about those things. Whatever you have learned or received or heard from me or seen in me, put it into practice. And the God of peace, he said, and the God of peace will be with you. Done.
Amen.
Instructions right there.
Amen. And that sounds like a promise to me.
That is
And
a
plan. And a plan.
That's right.
I want to ask one, are there any other questions from the audience? I'm sure you may have something that sparked you.
Dale, I have a question for Gwendolyn. Gwendolyn, do you have online classes or group courses that we can take if we wanted to do some counseling with you, or just get some one-on-one, or as a group setting?
Absolutely. We're going to be starting the group sessions in November. We don't have them up now due to the COVID thing. I really like that one-on-one, and then I do Zoom with the one-on-one because it just, I'm sorry, not the one-on-one, but the live group sessions with the Zooms, because I just think it brings a different energy, especially when you're in the healing process. So we're going to bring those back again in November. If anybody's interested in my program or what I do, like I said, check me out at coachingwithgwen.com. All of my contact information is on there. Please reach out and call me. I literally put my voice on everybody who wants to do a session with me in any form or fashion, because something that's really, I think, different about me as a practitioner is this is not just a business today, and it's not just somebody coming and sitting in my chair. You're a part of my journey too. And my job, God has given me the ability to do what I do, and he's trusted his most vulnerable with me. And I take that very, very seriously. So I like to make sure that my hands and my voice are on everybody I deal with, even when I'm doing them online, because I do offer Zoom sessions. I have people all over the country that I see and deal with, but I want to make sure that they have that personalized experience. This is a hand-in-hand process. And, I like to pride myself on my people don't ever feel alone. They feel like they have resources. And in each session that I do, even though we're doing the really hard root work, I never leave them in that place. So all of my sessions are 2 hours. Most of my classes are 3 hours. I invite you to send me a friend request on Facebook or find me on Instagram at InstaGwenNation. I post everything in those two places and on my website.
Thank you so much.
So thank you, Gwen, so much. And I was just so in awe. Let me say that Gwen and I had just some candid conversation, and she was sharing the work that she was doing, which is a part of our ministry, is also mental and emotional wellness. I did ask her to continue the conversation with us during our October series, which is focusing on cancer. They all matter. We will be focused on foods and recipes and meals that fight for you. And so on October the 14th and the 21st, Gwen will be facilitating the mealtime discussion. But I do want to say that when you list the different emotions or state of being, I was surprised. I always thought that joy was at the top, but I saw that you have put peace was at the top. In fact, there was two that was above joy, but I just wanted to bring that out. So please join us for our next session. And if you need to contact us, this is our contact information for the Eat Well Cooking Club for Better Health. We love to have your feedback. Simply go to a4cw.org/comments. If you want me to actually if you want me to send out a link with a thank you for attending this session, I will, with Gwen's contact information. That'll be great. I want to say that Gwen is located out of town. You're not in Chicago, correct?
No, I'm physically located in South Bend, Indiana.
Yeah. So, South Bend. Okay.
Yeah.
We can definitely, and like I said, if you want to continue this conversation and do another forum around what she was teaching, please just let me know. I'll be more than happy to facilitate that. And as well as Gwen reaching out to you personally. So I want to thank you for joining us today. My time is up. I thank you for yours. And I want to thank Gwen and Karen and all the participants for being with us today on this forum. And when you get the video, please share it with someone else or even share some of the contents because I know that it could be healing for our family members. I have two sisters and we have all had some ups and downs, in our lives. And especially as women, I was just thinking, well, I think women, I don't know, I don't think men go through as much things as women do. But because we spread ourselves so thin, if you got a career, if you work, you got family, you got kids, member of a church, you just spread thin. But it was nice to have this discussion and I'm looking forward in continuing it. Thank you.